Chapter 19. Cam. The sound of gunfire in the distance changed everything for Cam. He wanted to push into the town and find either a hotel or a motel that would accommodate his family. If that didn't pan out, he'd seek out a vacant home like they'd done before. The only issue being, small towns tended to be home to nosy neighbor types who watched over each other's properties in their absence. More upscale neighborhoods would provide larger lots and more privacy where a neighbor may not notice 4 squatters. This is what he was looking for. The problem with that approach was he didn't know Petaluma all that well and had no idea where to locate wealthy neighborhoods. If he could get his hands on a map, he guessed he could figure it out, but finding a map was an issue. With all the GPS guidance apps on everyone's phones and in every vehicle, no one used paper maps anymore. The thought of toting around a Thomas Brothers map book had been laughable, until now. He wasn't sure whether a service station would carry paper maps, let alone something as informative as a Thomas guide. Heck, he thought, those map books were probably worth money even before the lights went out. They remained off the road, hidden under the stairs of a 3-story apartment building, until the gunfire came to a halt. "Let's sit tight for a bit," Cam said, more so he could buy time to come up with their next move than anything else. They huddled under the stairs. A lone bicyclist pedaled by. The rider, a man in his 40s, dressed in jeans and a flannel shirt, came from the direction of the gunfire and didn't seem to be fleeing any danger. He kept a medium-paced speed, passing by the apartment building without turning his head in their direction. A short while later, more people on foot approached, and they too appeared to be talking calmly amongst themselves. Jen backed their children deeper into the small space under the stairs as her husband studied the groups of people passing them. He weighed the risk versus reward factor in making contact with these people. Without warning, Cam stepped out and waved at a group of 2 men and a woman. All 3 appeared to be in their 30s and dressed casually, as if they'd gone out for a late afternoon walk. "Hey there, guys," Cam called out, making it a point to smile. The 3 stopped and turned to Cam, waiting to see what he wanted of them. They really had no choice but to stop and talk. The days of faking a phone call or acting as though you were texting in order to avoid contact were things of the past. "I heard a bunch of gunfire a little while ago," he said, making a statement but also posing it as a question with his tone. One of the men who wore a ball cap glanced back the way they'd come and nodded. "You not from around here?" Cam gave a quick shake of his head. "No, I used to live around here, but we're living out of state now, and we're just here to visit." The second man gave a low whistle. He was bearded and wore his hair in a bun on top of his head. He was dressed in skinny jeans and boots that were probably intended to appear rustic, but actually looked like 1800s women's footwear. "You guys aren't getting home anytime soon." "Probably not, but what's going on with all the shooting?" The guy with the ball cap stepped closer. "We were at City Hall, and there were some North Koreans there with the city manager. She says they're here to help with some type of humanitarian aid, but I think someone shot those Korean guys up. We didn't see it, but a guy came past us who did. Said he saw some regular guys and a couple soldiers kill a bunch of North Korean soldiers." Cam stood dumbfounded at the news that there were already North Korean troops on the ground. That information, combined with the helicopter being shot out of the sky, painted a grim picture for his family's future. "Is it safe back that way? I mean, I've got my wife and kids, and we need a place to stay tonight." The 3 exchanged a look, and the ball cap guy spoke up. "We've been coming down to City Hall every day trying to find out what's being done. So far, nothing like this has happened. Everyone's been pretty cool." "And no one is worried that there are North Koreans in town?" Cam asked incredulously. "I mean, it's weird for sure, but if they're here to help, that's a good thing, right?" the man with the hair bun said. "Have they given anyone any food or aid of any type?" Cam pressed. Again, the 3 exchanged glances with each other and shrugged. The woman spoke up for the first time. "I don't think so." I think we're at war, guys, Cam stated. I saw one of our military helicopters shot down just yesterday, and the Golden Gate Bridge was damaged from missiles or bombs or something. Ballcap cocked his head to the side. What? We haven't seen anything like that out here. I'd go talk to the city manager if you want answers about the Korean guys. She was meeting with them. Cam nodded, and they wished him luck before continuing on their way. He returned to where he'd left his worried family and motioned them out from under the stairs. What was that all about? Jen asked in a trembling voice. I just asked them what was going on, and I guess there might be some people in town from North Korea offering humanitarian aid or something. Sounds like someone didn't believe him and either shot them all or shot at them. These people didn't know the whole story, but the Koreans have been meeting with the city manager. They suggested we talk to her if we wanted information about the area and its safety. Are Koreans good or bad, Dad? Taylor asked. Cam looked down at his son, the boy's hair a tangled mess from the wind and from sweating during their bike ride. I don't know, Tay, but if we plan on staying here for the night, we're going to have to try to find out. Let's keep going towards your parents, Cameron, Jen urged, her voice fraught with worry. He shook his head gravely. No way, babe. We can't get caught out at night with everything going on. Who knows what kind of people are out once the sun goes down? You're not suggesting we continue towards where those shots came from, are you? Jen demanded, her voice steadying a bit as her motherly instincts shot to the forefront. We'll steer clear of any trouble, I promise. She reached out and gathered their 2 children in close to her sides, staring at her husband like he was an outsider. He shifted his weight, tipping his head back for a moment before locking eyes with his life mate. Answers and a place to stay are that way. He pointed into town. Uncertainty and who knows what is out there. He pointed towards Sonoma. Night will be here sooner than later, and we can't be out in it with the kids, Jen. For a moment, Jen appeared ready to hold her ground. Then something in her posture changed slightly, letting him know they would be staying in Petaluma that night. Back on the bikes, they pedaled slowly, moving carefully along the Petaluma Boulevard towards what he hoped was the downtown area. He'd only been to Petaluma a couple times in the past, definitely not enough to have any sort of in-depth knowledge of the town's layout. Not long after they left the only somewhat informative party of 3, they entered a district of Petaluma where the street was bordered on both sides with all manner of small businesses. From what he could tell, almost every business was closed. 2 blocks into the district, they came upon a lone old man seated on a bench in front of a small coffee shop. The shop was closed, the interior dark and forbidding, but the man sat out front, sipping a small bottle of water. He looked to be in his late 80s and was dressed in slacks, a dress shirt, and a knitted sweater vest. A small fedora sat on top of his wispy gray hair, and a pleasant look rested easily across his weathered face. Cam veered toward the left side of the street where the old man sat, hoping not to startle him. He knew with a woman and 2 younger children in tow, he wasn't a threatening sight, but he also had no idea what was going on in town since the lights went out. As they approached, the older man remained seated, only turning his head once they pulled up to the curb in front of him. Afternoon, sir, Cam began. You couldn't by chance tell us where City Hall is, could you? The older man set the water bottle on the bench next to him and looked first at Cam and then past him to Jen and the 2 kids. You're on the right path, my friend, the man said. Turn left on Western, about 2 blocks up, and English will be on your left. Not too far down. City Hall's right there, he finished with a wave of his bony hand. Much appreciated, Cam said. Be careful. There's been some goings-on, the older man warned before Cam could leave. Like what? Like the kind you don't want going on around a family. He lifted a gnarled, liver-spotted hand in Jen and the kids' direction, letting it hang for just a second to make his point. The Koreans? Cam persisted. I fought in a war against those people. Can't ever trust them. They're very capable and very clever. With that, the old man picked up the water bottle, uncapped it, and drank from the vessel as if the brief conversation had somehow exhausted him. Well, thanks again, sir. Cam shot a look over his shoulder at Jen, then tipped his head for her to follow. They left the man sitting in front of the closed coffee shop they could only guess had been a place he'd come in the past to enjoy a snack and a hot beverage. Now, with nothing left to do in the world, the man continued to come to the shop, sit, sip his water, and reminisce about better days. Within 10 minutes, Cam could see English Street and a gathering of men and women at what appeared to be City Hall. Petaluma's city building was anything but grandiose in appearance. The single-story, flat-top building was standard 1980s architecture. The building could easily have been transported to any socialist country, dropped in, and fit well with the other drably engineered socialist structures. Even the color was a dismal shade of yellow or light brown, indistinguishable as to which family of colors the shade belonged. The windows were aluminum cased and screamed of a time when cutting cost was at the forefront of every designer's mind. The building could have been named Reaganomics, and no one would have batted an eye.